Hello there, everyone. Welcome to Coffee Time Career Chat, and it's our networking chat version. I'm super excited. And of course, I always forget to introduce myself. Patricia Hayes here, executive advisor, empowerment coach, and authentic networking strategist. I'm so excited to have my guest, Devin Lee, with me here today to have our lovely little networking chat, kind of not just get to know each other. We've had our chat before, but to share more about how we met and other relationships and how we work through our professional relationship building in our businesses. So, Devin is an online business manager, and she's a certified online business manager and Dubsado specialist. She's going to tell us all about that, and she does all things regarding the management, the Dubsado, and these quarterly planning parties. So there's too many things I've got to know more about. So welcome, Devin, and tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. I'm so excited to chat with you. We met through the Accelerated Business Alliance, right?
Yes, I believe
That's
so.
right.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, and I love doing paid networking groups because it means the other people in the group are serious about networking, which is something that I love to do.
Yeah. Yes, yes. And tell us more about what it actually, because everyone doesn't know. I mean, like you and I work in this online space, but there are people who are like, what are they doing? They're crazy. So tell us a little bit more about what it is you do as an online business manager and the specialized work that you do.
Well, I'll give you my backstory. Before the pandemic, I was a professional organizer, actually. That was my
Mm,
first business. It was super fun. Long story short, I loved it, but it was a big hustle.
yeah.
Some months were really awesome, some months were really quiet. So I started doing virtual assistant work on the side just to have some steady income because that was work that I had been doing, since college, so like the past decade.
Mhm.
Um, my second virtual assistant client was a business coach, and a few weeks in she sat me down and was like, Devin, you do great work, you're not a virtual assistant, you're an online business manager. And I had never heard of that before, so I looked it up and I realized that the work I was doing was a lot different than what a VA does.
Yeah.
And for those who don't know the difference, the way I like to explain it is like a virtual assistant is someone who you give tasks to. The tasks are very straightforward. The VA completes the tasks and then hands the project back to you.
Right.
An online business manager could, there's a lot of different niches in the online business management world, but essentially, an online business manager kind of partners with you and keeps the back end of your business running, whether they're setting up systems or managing your team or managing your launch. They're kind of doing a little bit of more strategy with you, but basically, they're taking your vision and making it a reality. Some people get OBMs and VAs confused, and then they get really disappointed in their VAs. Like, why aren't you managing my whole business? It's like, well,
Right.
honey,
Why aren't you running my business for me?
exactly. That's not really the VA's job. Like, they're there to just complete the tasks that you assign them. And so I was kind of moonlighting as an OBM. Started marketing myself differently. And then, like many people, when the pandemic hit, I had to make some decisions. I couldn't be a professional organizer anymore because I couldn't go into my clients' homes. So I pivoted my whole business. Within a month, I had a full roster of OBM
Wow.
clients. So I got certified, and I loved it. I loved being in my client's business, and I could kind of take my experience as a professional organizer and being a VA in other businesses over the years and kind of use that to help my OBM clients. And then I started to niche down more and more into the things that I really loved, like client experience, setting up automated systems. I discovered
Oh
Dubsado,
gosh.
which was totally a game changer for me. For those who don't know, Dubsado is a client relationship management tool. It manages all of your clients' stuff in one place and then puts all of it on an automated workflow, does all the work for you. So I started niching down even more. And so now I focus just on doing Dubsado setups for folks. I do it all in one day. It's my VIP day. And then I also do quarterly planning parties, which is my group program, because that was another thing I loved doing as an OBM is, taking all of these beautiful big visions that my clients were constantly downloading and saying, okay, we have all these different things, we need to contain them. Let's pick a few for the next 12 weeks, make a plan, and then get that plan done. And so now I'm able to do that with a group of people. We kind of do it together, like as a giant buddy system.
Yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
really nice. There's so many things you said there. One is going back to the whole online business manager and making that distinction between a VA and a business manager. And people like, how people always want to I don't want to say overinvest, but, put too many things on a position or whatever. And it's just like in the real life, if you have an administrative assistant versus you have someone who is director management level, like you would not or should not be trying to mix the two. And it's just the same thing in the online space. But, when people don't know or understand it, they just think, oh, they're supposed to do everything. And there are so many pieces to doing things online. Oh my gosh. I mean, I know but I've learned it as well over the years. And it's like, no, you really do have to be specific about what it is you want and meet those expectations. So what does that look like when you're having that conversation with a potential client to make sure that you are on the same page about, their expectations and what you can do?
Yeah, I'm sure you feel this way too, Patricia. Like, a lot of people in our roles have many, many talents.
Yeah.
And when you are in kind of a more general position like a VA or an OBM, you have to really learn what your strengths are and learn what your boundaries are, because you want to help your client. You want to do everything. So when I had OBM clients on retainer, I had to get really good at saying, copywriting, I could do it for you, but I'm not very good at it. Let's
Right.
find you a copywriter. Just
Yeah.
a lot of things like that. And just saying, like, I don't like doing this. I'm not very good at it, but I can find you someone who will. Now that I really have niche down, it's easier because I'm saying, I'm setting up your Dubsado for you. If you want to set up a strategy call and in 90 minutes, you want me to like look at your project management tool, like we can do whatever you want in those 90 minutes, but that's not my specialty.
Mm-hmm.
And really expressing to folks, like, this is what I'm really good at. And one of the reasons I love networking so much is that when people need a service that I don't offer, I have like a million folks that I trust that I can send them to. Like, you need someone to do your convert kit? I got a convert kit gal. You need someone to do your TikTok? I got a TikTok gal. Like, I got it all. I know a guy for everything. And so it's really nice to have that full network of like really specialized experts.
Yeah, and there's so much to that. And people think it's really funny because I've been accused of being like an expert and niching down in different things versus also very a generalist. But that's because of my background as a lobbyist and a lawyer. Like I've had both extremes. I recognize being what's the word, a little schizophrenic in that way, because that's not normal, right? Most people need to figure out one way or the other, because otherwise, if you don't, you end up getting frustrated. And like, who wants to be resentful of doing work that you're supposed to be loving to do, right? Oh my gosh. So having that, I got a guy for everything. I love that. And because it's true to be able to dip into that. So tell me about how you go about building out relationships and building out new ones, especially with you being a specialist. What does it look like for you when you're connecting with people online?
Okay, well, I'll say that I am aggressively friendly. Being an extrovert is my superpower. And so when I think about my marketing plan, I think a lot of people default to relying on social media, which isn't a great. I mean, I heavily rely on social media for marketing,
Mm-hmm.
but it's just one piece of the puzzle. So one of my main forms of marketing is having really strong relationships, which is any successful business entrepreneur, business owner will tell you that referral marketing is the best way to get new clients.
Yes.
So I really lean into that superpower. So anytime I'm in a group, I am not shy. I say, hey, everybody who wants to set up a coffee chat with me. I try, if I'm reaching out to someone, I try and be intentional. I say, like, I would love to get to know you. I think we might serve similar clients. I think we could maybe form a powerful alliance. I think we might be good referral partners, or like, I try to have a reason to reach out to somebody, even if it's just like, you seem cool, we seem like we're in a similar space,
Right.
and really, yeah, and really just get to know them and say like, okay, like tell me about your service. How can I support you? Can we support each other? And then just go from there. And then from there, I have a whole database where I keep track of conversations.
Of
And
course
if
you
I,
do. Of
of course
course
I
you
do.
do.
I'm a Virgo. You wouldn't expect anything less. Because I can't tell you how many times I've had a conversation with someone and it's really juicy and good, and then we leave and then we never see each other again and I forget about them. And it was like, okay, what was the point of that? Like, I want to keep in touch with these people.
Yeah.
And sometimes they're amazing referral partners who send me awesome clients, or vice versa. But a lot of the time, sometimes I get really close with some folks, and I'm talking to them regularly, and we're brainstorming together, we're sharing resources, and even though we're not, you know, maybe directly making each other money, we're growing as business owners and also just building community. Like, it's lonely as a business owner. So I put a
Yes.
lot of emphasis on, I'm not shy. I want to be everyone's friend. Let's get on a chat. Let's be friends on Instagram. Let's get on TikTok. I can't, I wish I could be shy about it, but I just can't.
I love that. I was like, she's aggressively friendly. That's what I'm going to say, Devin, the aggressively friendly online business manager. But what you just said a lot that's really, I promise y'all, I did not prime her for those answers, but they're fully aligned with how I am. That's why, when people talk about networking, how I'm really careful. And when I use the word networking, I try to put authentic in front of it to distinguish it, or I talk about building professional relationships, because networking still has a slimy connotation to it, but that's because people are out there still learning 20, 30, 40-year-old bad habits, and it's not the way to do it. And everything you just described is about the way to do it, about connecting with people and really sharing. I mean, hello, that old way of networking is not about sharing. It's about what you can get or take from someone, and that does not work or last long term. When we're in business for ourselves, we've got to have relationships that are going to last more than the next week or the next month, right? There may be people it may not come to fruition for months, or even a year or so later, but that doesn't make it any less valuable. And I don't know how to help people understand that better until it happens, right? So I appreciate you saying that, because it is so important. It is so important. So, Miss Aggressively Friendly, what is your favorite you know networking tip, strategy, thing that that really works well when you're engaging people?
Question. I mean, I have the classic, like, very cliche, like, you need to go into a networking meeting, like you were saying, not thinking about yourself, just thinking, I want to genuinely get to know this person and I want to look for ways, how can I be of assistance to them?
Yeah.
How can I connect them to someone or give them advice if they're looking for advice, not unprompted, of course, but really think about, like, what can I do for them? um, it's really, like, I feel like networking is truly very karmic. Like, you get out of it what you put into it.
Hmm.
And I think also, like, I always have like a few questions on hand if the
Yeah.
conversation's not easily flowing, of like, tell me about your business. Those ones are easy. What kind of clients do you like to work with? And then at the end of the call, this is how I like to wrap up calls, is like, okay, how can I best support you right now? And sometimes people have really specific things. Sometimes they say, I just want to stay in touch. And really just thinking about how you can provide value.
Yeah.
I think, again, like you were saying, like, a lot of people go into networking thinking like, I need to find clients. This is how I learned about networking. I'm not looking for the golden egg. I'm looking for the golden goose that's going to provide more eggs for me. So that's why I'm looking for
Yes.
someone to partner with, where maybe we have similar clients or we're in a similar phase of business. And I want to really focus on that instead of like, is this person going to give me money? Because people can feel that, and it's icky, you
Yep.
know?
Yep. That's the icky
So
energy people will feel. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, but what has been the greatest challenge for you then when you're doing networking, or, trying to work through things?
loneliness. Truly, because like how do I even put this? Like, when I think of someone, someone's on my list who I want to stay connected with, and I'm like, oh, I haven't chatted with them in a few months. I haven't heard from them. This is what I used to do. I would like email them or find them on Instagram and be like, hey, how are you? Do you want to schedule a coffee chat? Like, let's catch up. Not everybody likes that. Like, that's too much for a lot of people. So I have learned to kind of take it easy and just say, hey, thinking of you. Like, I saw this thing, or maybe just a comment on their post, like just kind of tiptoeing.
Yes.
Um, and just kind of feeling people's energy. I meet other people who are like, we vibe instantly, and now we're on Voxer every day, and like
Hmm.
we are here. But I'm trying to learn how to like take a step back and just say, you know what, you can keep the relationship going in like a more gentle way. Not everybody's up for being your best friend every single day, which it's hard for me because I want to be everyone's friend, but I've learned to take a step back.
But you know what? You make a really good point, right? Because that's being respectful and acknowledging how someone approaches. Because I have the same thing, right? I have the same energy. There's that thing where people come over like, and then there are others who are like, oh my God, she's scary. And I can tell. So I'm like, I have to tone it down and be a little more calmer. And I can, so we can still have a productive conversation, but I have to match that energy because everyone doesn't respond to it. And you're right, you're not going to be besties with everyone, but you don't have to be besties with everyone to nurture them for a long-term relationship, you know. And so it's how those connections are, and recognizing, I love the fact, because I'm big, I've been talking a lot about inward reflection, for various reasons, and it applies when you're networking as well, which is taking assessment of yourself. I'm like, okay, I may be a little too much for that person right now, but the email, a text message, going using one of the socials to DM, those things still count, right? It's all a mixture of how you can connect with people. So I love that you acknowledge that.
Of course. And I even try and keep track of like, okay, this person, they're more on LinkedIn than Instagram. So maybe I need
Yes,
to hop on LinkedIn and engage with their post, give them a little boost on their
yes,
post, whatever I think makes sense for that person.
yes.
I also take good notes after coffee chats so I can help remember all the people I meet with.
I do too. I do too. I tell people I keep the journal industry in business, because I've kept them for years. And when people don't believe me, I haven't done it in a while. I may have to pull them out during one of my coffee chats as proof, because I literally have journals 10, 15, 20 years old from when I was doing, oh yes, ma'am, especially when I went out on my own, when I first went out on my own, because I had to keep, when you leave an office environment and you're now by yourself, like, you don't have people dropping by to say, hey, let's go to lunch, or just to chit chat in the hallway. Like, you have to create that for yourself. So that was one of the things I did, is like, I had to generate that flow of connections and relationship building for myself on a regular basis. And you just, and so one of the things I did was keeping a journal for, of who I've met when, scheduling coffees, scheduling lunch, all of that stuff. It was pretty aggressive. I try not to state the numbers too much at first because it would scare people. I'd say, you don't have
I
to do what I
love it.
did. You don't have to do what I did. I'm just telling you that when I'm
Your
telling you,
way.
when I tell people reach out to 3 to 5 people a week, and they're like, I don't know. I'm like, okay, let me explain to you how I know this can be done, because I was doing 10 to 15 a week.
I stack mine all on Tuesdays. I think I have 7 in a row tomorrow morning, just in the morning. Like 3 or 4, that's nothing. I mean, I want to
Yeah,
respect people's energy levels, but you know what? Do what you can. It's worth it to me.
it is worth it. And again, when we talked about, it doesn't always end up being a Zoom call or a phone call or whatever, but it's a matter of, here are the people I need to reach out to, or that I would like to reach out to. How am I going to do it? And let me make it happen, and doing it consistently.
Uh,
So, oh my gosh, did I just hear you that you have a focused networking day?
Tuesdays are my meeting days.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Anyone who follows me knows it's Networking Wednesday. That's my day that I follow up and I'm like, "Ching." And I don't know if you saw it because I think I put it up. I did an accountability post a couple of weeks ago. I just got on a tear that day. I don't know. I had my list. It was only a few. And then I was starting, I'm like, and then the next thing I knew, I had reached out in the DMs like to like 50 or 60 people. Someone said, "You didn't get flagged." I'm like, well,
Wow.
you don't get flagged when you're being authentic and being original, right? You don't get flagged.
Yeah.
And so they were like, "How do you do that?" I'm like, I wasn't even thinking about it. I was cutting and pasting some things, but I adapted things to that person, or I looked because maybe I had DM'd them a couple of months before. I'm like, "Hey, just checking in, how are things going?" And when I tell you the flow from that one day, I mean, it's so incredible. I mean, I got invitations to do things, invitations to activities, other follow ups. My phone started ringing. I am still getting people responding from that one day 2 weeks ago. So that's
And
why
you know,
go ahead.
before we hit record, we were talking about voice notes. I'm a huge fan of voice notes. I love to just hop on Instagram, send a little voice note over the DMs. Hey, I haven't heard from you in a while. Just seeing how you're doing. Anything I can support you with this week? Hope you're doing well. It takes 5 seconds. They can
Yep.
hear your voice. They can hear that you're not like copying and pasting the same exact thing over and over. You're
Right.
just saying, hey, friend, I see you. How are you doing? And I think people like that. They like to hear from you. They might not send a voice note back, but they'll be like, oh my gosh, I was thinking of you. And same as you, when I reach out to folks and keep up with them, they're like, oh my gosh, oh, I've been meaning to reach out to you. I saw that you did a Dubsado audit this week. Could I hire you for a Dubsado audit?
Yep.
Absolutely. Or, hey, I have this podcast. Do you want to be on it? It's just, you get so much in return when you just let people know that you're thinking about them.
So true. So true. Yeah, I love it. I love it when people like use the same strategies and you get real results, right? It's just
Right.
about doing it and being consistent. You know, everyone is not going to take and put aside a whole day like you and I, but you can do 15 minutes a day or 15 minutes a day, 30 minutes a day, 3 times a week, right? Nobody has an excuse because well, because then we'll start counting hours, right? 24 hours, 7 days. Like, it's like, don't tell me you don't have 15 minutes to reach out to somebody. That's my thing. It's always what I have to say. So tell me, what is it that, like, if you were to give out some tips for people, particularly our online business folks, or, anyone who's needing some or organizational help in some way,
Mm.
not the work that you would do necessarily, but just some best tips, best strategies that you would recommend to folks who need some next steps and what to do.
Staying organized in their business?
Yeah,
Ooh, well, I am a huge fan of SOP, standard operating procedures. They sound like a chore, but
they are. For those of
they
us
are
who don't love them like you, I'm not saying they're not
a
necessary.
chore, but there
I
are
agree that they're necessary.
workarounds. There are workarounds though. You can use something like Loom. You can use something like Scribe Scribe is very cool.
What is that
Basically, Scribe it's
one?
very cool.
Okay.
It basically like it's kind of like Loom where you're recording your screen, but it turns it into like a PDF of all the steps. It's
Oh,
very cool. But the thing is,
fancy.
if you take the time once a quarter to think about, okay, what are some tasks that I do over and over and over again? What are some systems in my business? Sit down and write them all out and write them down. You're going to think of things that you missed. You're going to
Yes.
think of things you can add. Because what a lot of business owners, especially when you're newer, but even some business owners who are not so new, I'm surprised that they do this. And well, they do it, they're just really stressed out. Is they're kind of just winging it every time they get a new client, for example. Okay, now I need to send a proposal and a
Yeah.
contract. Oh, and an invoice, and email them a link to join my Slack or whatever. and you're just kind of like remembering it, and sometimes you
Yes.
miss things. It's so stressful. Wouldn't it be nice to have a list of step one, step two?
Yes.
You're doing the thinking for yourself ahead of time, and then from there, once you have that list right now, that's when you can say, okay, what can I automate using Dubsado or Zapier? What can I delegate to potentially a virtual assistant who will give me some time back? And that's when you can start building your business out, is once you have these systems in place. They don't have to be perfect. You don't have to do them for everything, but just start documenting things. I know it sounds boring to some people, but it really makes a difference. And it's such a relief once you start to build up a collection of these SOPs.
Yeah, no, you're right. Like I'm just, I'm totally teasing because I do like I am that person. I'm like, can you be detail oriented? And then I get to a point and I'm like, I've had enough, right? And so I know that there are folks who can't even get to that point. So it really is helpful when you do that because it literally saves you time when you're like, oh wait, I don't have to recreate that. I already have something. It's very freeing.
Absolutely. It's so nice to be like, oh, I already did this work ahead of time. I don't have to remember or redo all my work every time I get a new client or relaunch my program. It's more relaxing. And then when you build a team, you can go on vacation because your team members have the SOPs you wrote and you can just leave them. And that's really
Yes.
nice too.
Yes, she's speaking our language. Vacation.
We love vacation.
We want vacation. I announced that to my husband just the other day because it's been a long, hard summer, and everybody's in school, everybody's resituated, and I'm super excited about a new client, a big new client that I'm bringing on board. And I informed my husband I will be disappearing for a couple of days to one of the local hotels. Do not bother me. So I cannot wait to schedule
That.
not even
That
a
sounds
full
so
vacation,
fun.
but it's going to be a like, woo, let me go shut down for a few days. And because we got to do that, right? We have to do it.
Yes.
We have to do it. Oh my gosh, this has been so much fun. I'm so glad we finally got to do it. And so tell us, Devin, where can we find you if people want to connect with you? What's the best way to do it? And all of those great things.
So you can learn more about me and my services on my website, devinlee.com, devinlee.com. That's also where you can download my free workbook, The Elevated Client Experience. It's pretty good. If you want to hang out with me on social media, I'm on Instagram at DevinLeeOBM, DevinLeeOBM. I'm also on TikTok now for anyone
Oh,
who's on TikTok. Same handle at Devin Lee OBM. I'm pretty good at making reels, so I've been told.
you got to go check them
So
out.
if you want to have fun on Instagram, you can send me a DM. And those are all the places where I hang out the most.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And I'll be making sure that her connection to her email, to her website and all of that, it's going to be in the notes. And I'm super excited. Thank you so much for sharing, Devin. It's been so much fun. Thanks everyone for joining us for this networking chat. And I look forward, I hope you will join us for Coffee Time Career Chat networking again in the next coming weeks. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.